This is section 224. We're going to take a look at the transformation of non-functions. And so we're going to actually examine how to transform a circle. Now, a few things to memorize here is this is the parent graph, and this is the standard form. And these are things that we should memorize. Notice there's still an h and there's still a k. Well, the h and k is going to be the center of the circle. So h is still your horizontal shift. Your k is still your vertical shift. Now in the formula, if you notice, there's a minus for your h and then there's a minus for your k. Just remember, when you have negatives in your formula, that implies you having to do the opposite. And then the last little piece is the radius. That's that r squared. To get r by itself, you'd have to square root, and so to find the radius of that circle, you would just take the square root of that. But now we can transform a circle. So for the first example, we want to take a look at the parameters here. So remember, there's a negative in my formula, so a negative times a negative means a positive, so my h is 2. A negative, well, there's nothing there, so that means my k is 0. And then my r squared, compare that to 4, square root both sides, and I get r equals 2. So I know that my radius is 2. So this is my center, 2, 0. And so then I'm going to go out a radius of 2, and then I'm going to draw my circle. So just remember, because there's a minus in your formula, that means whatever this value is here, you do the opposite. Negative times a negative equals a positive. So once again, looking at this, do the opposite. So negative 3. Do the opposite, positive 1. Why am I doing the opposite? Because there's a negative in the original formula. A negative in our formula means do the opposite. So the opposite of h, or a negative and a positive means negative. A negative and a negative means positive. There is a negative in our formula. And then our r squared equals 9. So then square root both sides, r equals 3. Now, I'm not doing plus or minus for this, because just remember, you can't have a negative radius on a circle. So let's do our transformation. Moves over 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and up 1. And then my radius is 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And so from there, we should be able to go through and we should be able to then create our circle. Not too bad. Awkward, but still not too bad. Next one. So negative and a negative is a positive. A negative and a positive is a negative. So there's my center, h and k. My r squared equals 4. So square root both sides, r equals 2. So over 2, down 2, there's my center. My radius is 2. And so drawing the circle. Oh, that's awful looking. Yeah, it's bad, but good enough. Alright, I want you guys to give this one a shot. I know they both say example 3, but I want you guys to give this one a shot. So checking our answers. H, you should have gotten 0, and my k, you should have gotten 3, so it should be 0, 3. And my r equals 4, because 16 equals r squared, square root both sides. And so 0, 3, r is 4, and so now we can go through and draw our circle. Not bad. So, conclude today's lesson. What did we learn about? We learned about how to transform non-functions. For example, the circle. And so the parameters of a circle is you still have that HK. You're going to see that HK being very common in every single standard form function. Every single one is going to have that HK. And then has a radius. This does conclude our lesson. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments.